Hello, welcome to another dynamic do-it-yourself video. And today we are going to make our own pie crust. Now, it's very simple. You can go to the store, you can purchase a pie crust, purchase a filling, and make a pie. Simple as that. But on this channel, we are going to look at doing it ourselves and saving money. Now, making a pie crust is very simple and is not as time consuming as you might be led to believe. And I'm going to show you a quick and easy way of making one. And for our purpose, we're going to use a food processor. If you don't have a food processor, you can make it all by hand. But what I'm going to show you here is using this food processor to make it. Now, we are going to start off with 1 cup of flour. Taking out the blade, pouring in 1 cup of flour. This recipe is for 1 pie crust. The beauty of pie crust is that you can make it well in advance of when you need it. And once you make it, you can store it in the refrigerator or the freezer and use it later. Second ingredient we're going to use is butter. When I make my pie crust, I like a nice, buttery, flaky crust. Some recipes they call for shortening. Shortening gives you a very nice flaky crust. But shortening doesn't have taste. And you want your crust to have a really nice taste. So I use butter. Always use unsalted butter. Now this recipe I'm using does call for salt. So because you're adding salt, you want to have an unsalted butter because you don't want added salt in your recipe. Especially if you're someone who is watching your salt intake, this helps minimize the type of salt and the amount of sodium that you're going to be imbibing or ingesting. Anyway, we're going to need 1/3 cup of shortening, 1/3 cup. 1 stick is 12. 1 stick is 1 cup. 1/3 brings you to a little over 5 tablespoons. Now, for what we're going to do here, I'm not going to put the entire amount of butter in with the flour. I'm just going to cut it up and just add a little piece at a time. I'll put in my butter. Put this in a minute. And you're going to need 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm from the old school. When it comes to salt, a pinch is enough. 1/2 teaspoon is a little bit, so I just put a little pinch. That should be enough. And you need a little bit of water. Recipe calls for 2 to 4 tablespoons of ice water. I'm going to start off 1 tablespoon. Okay. Put my blade in. Top is locked and loaded. If you're wearing earbuds, you might want to take them out now because this is going to be loud. Okay. First round. We cut another 1/3 of our butter. Drop it in. Now, as you see, the old-fashioned way, you're using a pastry cutter and you're cutting in your butter. Using the food processor, it cuts your time literally in half. Now the consistency I have is still very powdery and we want to make a dough. So this recipe calls for 2 to 4 tablespoons. I'm going to get another tablespoon. This is our second tablespoon of water. And I'm adding the tablespoons one at a time because I want to make sure that this is not too thick and not too crumbly. I'm finding a nice fine middle ground. Now I'm starting to get a dough consistency here. But it's still a little bit too dry. Now I'm going to add my third tablespoon. Now, as you can see, while that was going around, you can see that now we have a nice dough. This is a nice dough. Now this is where we get our hands dirty. Okay. Now here's my dough. Make sure your hands are clean. And all I'm doing, very simple. I'm getting my dough and I'm forming a ball. This is really simple, really easy. And there we go. Very quick, very simple. And this took less than 7 minutes to do. Now, if you are ready to use this dough, then you know you would take your dough and you would roll it out so it can fit your pie pan. If you're not ready to use it, this is something very simple that you can do. Make it into a little flat mound. Parchment paper. Parchment paper, nothing will stick. Put it on your parchment paper. Wrap it up. Put it in a sandwich bag. And you can use it any other time. Or make sure you put it in the refrigerator or the freezer, depending on how soon you're going to use it. This is very simple. But right now, for our purpose, we're going to go ahead and just use it to make our pie crust. Take some flour, put it over your surface. Take your dough, flour it all around. Then get your rolling pin. Put a little flour on your rolling pin there. The purpose of the flour is to prevent sticking. Now, after you have put it in a circle, when you were forming it with your hands, go ahead and use your rolling pin to flatten it out. Gives you a nice little meditation as you roll it out. Making the pie crust initially does not take any time. Rolling this out shouldn't take much time either. Now, rolled it out. Not a perfect circle, but you get to have a little fun with that when you put it on your pie plate. So you gently lift it up, place it in your pan, and there you have it. Quick and easy. You crimp it on the sides. Like to do what my mom used to do. Nothing fancy. Just put it out on the edge and pinch it. Some people like to get fancy, want to take forks and create special little designs, but if the design of your pie crust is very important, then go ahead, feel free to do that. But if you're making a pumpkin berry pie or whichever kind of pie you're going to use, and you need just one crust, this is it. This side here, it's not fully filled in. So this is where you go to an edge that has a little extra, pinch it off, and just place it where you need it. There we go. Simple. Even like this, if you are not ready to use it and you want to just get to this point, this is it. Once again, take some parchment paper, place it inside, and just put it aside and wait for another time. Or go ahead and just put your favorite filling in and you'll have your pie. I hope this was helpful. The recipe that I use, I will put down below. And hopefully this will save you money. Because as you know, buying a prepared pie crust in the store, it could cost you anywhere $2 on up. Sometimes you might get too much, sometimes you might not get enough. And this way, if you have flour, water, butter at home, also some salt, you have your pie crust ready to go anytime you need it. Hope this was helpful. If you like what you saw, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down there. And if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave a comment down below. Thank you.